All right, great. Thank you very much. So good evening, everyone. I would like to call the June 30th, 2021 meeting of the Town of Cicero Zoning Board of Appeals to order. Ms. August, please call the roll. How about now?
Here.
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 Here. Please take note of the fire exits located in the front and the rear of this room. At this time, please silence all cell phones and pagers. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, republic, one nation. Has everyone read the minutes of the June 7th, 2021 meeting?
Yes.
Yes.
Do you have any corrections?
Not at this time.
Do I have a motion to approve
Motion to approve the June 7th minutes.
by Ms. Luckett? Do I have a second
Second to approve the June 2nd minutes.
by Mr. Vick?
Excuse me.
Please call the roll.
Yes to the motion.
Yes to the motion.
Yes to the motion.
Yes to the motion.
Yes to the motion. The Cicero Town Board acknowledges the importance of full public participation at all public meetings, and therefore we urge all who wish to address those in attendance to please come to the microphone located in the front of the room. At this time, I will make a motion that all actions taken tonight are type 2 actions and have a negative impact that is no impact on the environment unless otherwise indicated. Do I have a second?
Second the motion.
Mr. Natale? Please call the roll when you're ready.
Yes to the motion.
Yes to the motion.
Yes to the motion.
Yes to the motion.
Yes to the motion. I will briefly review the process for tonight's meeting for the benefit of those present that have never been before the Zoning Board of Appeals. Each applicant will have an opportunity to describe their project. The board will then ask questions about the project. I will then open a public hearing where people will be able to speak for or against the proposed variance. The applicant will then be given the opportunity to respond to public input and provide additional information. After that, board members will have the opportunity to question the applicant. The board will openly discuss amongst ourselves the 5 factors that contribute to the final decision. Please note this board does not have a pre-agenda meeting, so there is no prior discussion of cases prior to this meeting. The motion will be made either approving or denying the requested variance, seconded, and voted upon. So our first case tonight is an application for 7025 Lake Shore Road. The applicant is Mr. Philip Bova. Could you or your representative please come up and address the board?
There, I Newsian Romans. Mr. Bova is here tonight. Good evening, Tim Coyer, I Newsian Romans, Land Surveying. Mr. Bova is here with me tonight. I'm gonna pass some handouts to the board real quick. Basically our variance map. A couple details. And highlighted Google Earth map that shows the property. I don't know if any go out to the property.
Sure.
Absolutely.
The previous original survey. As our variance map shows, we're hoping to new house on the property. Interesting piece of property where it has looking to build the proposed house that you see on the last sheet of the handout. What's going on is because of the paper street going through the property, we're running into the front yard setback restrictions that are adhered to Van Antwerp Drive. Again, if you visited the site, you can see that Van Antwerp Drive does not exist. There's no pavement, it doesn't go through there, but it is a public street for the tax maps. I want to point out that we did try to go to the town board and get the Van Buren, this section of Van Buren Drive removed, basically, or given up by the town. Unfortunately, the town didn't really want to do that at this time, so that kind of drove us to this position to ask for the variance. We're looking to put the house on the property. Couple things that we're trying to do with it is keep it as far south as we could. The reason being is the next door neighbor, and I don't know if you've seen the email and the correspondence with the next door neighbor. She likes looking out her back window and she has a nice view of the lake. And the farther back we push the house, the less she's gonna get as far as an overall view from the back of the house. And actually it is a nice picture window on her east side of the house that she would like to kind of keep a nice view of the lake. If you look at the original. I can hold it. All right, sorry about that. Everybody can hear me?
Yes.
If you look at the original survey, the house was 9 feet and roughly 6 feet off the existing Van Antwerp Drive. What we're looking for is 9 feet on the east side of Van Antwerp Drive. If you see where the garage is, it kind of is an L-shaped house. And that 9 feet is on the left-hand side, or I'm sorry, the right-hand side of Van Antwerp Drive. The main portion of the house, we tried to keep it in line with the buildings to the west at 27 feet roughly off the property line. We didn't want to pull it totally forward because I just think that would be unnecessary, but we're trying to keep it around 27 feet. This is going to be a walkout. So I don't know if you've been out to the property, there's quite a big cliff, or I don't want to say cliff, but drop halfway down the lot to the back of the property down near Oneida Lake. So it is going to be a walkout. We are going to use that drop to have a walkout basement out to the lake. And again, if you start pushing it back farther with that drop, you're going to come closer to the flood zone, and B, you're going to have to put more fill on the property to adhere to that. If you would like right now, I could go through the 5 factors, or is the board want to ask some questions?
We can do that in a second. I do want to make note that we have a resolution from the Onondaga County Planning Board. Have you gotten a copy of that? If not, we can provide.
I did get a copy of that.
Okay.
Their recommendation was to make sure we adhere to the flood zone back there, which we have to, once we,
Yeah.
if and when we move forward with this process, we are going to go out there and do some topographic survey work to establish the floodplain out there. If there's, the house has to be 2 foot above the floodplain. We know that. Before Steve can issue any building permits, he's going to see the elevations, and we're going to set the house properly for all that.
Yeah, Mr. Procopio does a fine job with making sure all that's adhered to. I'm more concerned that I'm not concerned because there's a significant, they have said there's no significant adverse intercommunity or countywide implications.
Okay.
So,
I saw on the county GIS that it's just the back of the property, the edge of the lake that's in the flood zone. It's not the building footprint, right?
It should be right there at the shoreline. That's basically the elevation of the lake is typically right near where the shoreline is, but it's always a little bit different. And depending on when they took the shot, the lake was either higher or lower. So it could creep up towards where the house is, depending on the time of year it was, because the lake will rise and lower. And that floodplain is about 376 roughly.
Mhm.
So we'll know once we do the topo out there where we have to be.
I noticed on your maps, you don't have the 2-car garage on it. And you also have I guess it's a makeshift car. It's like a Quonset hut that's made out of canvas. I don't see those on the lot. Will they be staying those?
The old sheds that were, the old sheds you're talking about that were
No,
on
there's
there.
a 2-car garage in front.
I think that's another property, Mr.
Oh,
Natale.
yes. You're talking about this garage that's right here.
I thought there were some right here too.
No, there's a 2-car garage right here.
That's part of this property, right?
That's part of the neighbor's property.
Neighbors.
Oh, okay.
Yes. The neighbor did want to come tonight, but unfortunately she's a little elderly and she was worried about the weather and driving in the weather. So she let us know that she wouldn't be able to make it tonight. But one of her comments was she wanted to make sure that she was still able to use his driveway a little bit to, just in case she drove past. I don't know if you read the emails and all that, but he doesn't have a problem with that.
Hey, Tim, just to clarify, when you say pushing the building back, you're talking about pushing it towards the lake.
Yes.
Gotcha. Okay.
I know a lot of people think the front of the property is the lake front. I've always been where the road is the front, and I push it
Right.
back
Just
towards the
want to make
lake.
sure.
Yep.
Okay, thank you.
I know.
And just for clarity for the other board members, Mr. Coyer did discuss this, but because Van Antwerp dog legs through the property, we technically have 2 front yards here. At
Yes,
least
and
as far as the structure is concerned.
correct. And that's why it's 9 feet on the right-hand side and you see the 27 feet on the other side. And in theory, they're both quote unquote in front of the 30-foot setback that's there.
Like that Antwerp Drive was, like they put some pots or something there. Am I remembering that right? So that you can't drive through there?
Correct. Some of the neighbors have put something like small items in there so you can't drive through there. And if you look at some of the overhead, the driveways don't connect and it's not like a continuous driveway through there. But yes, some of the neighbors have put pots and stuff in there so that people can't drive through there. Now, whether or not they're allowed to do that, that's not my call, but technically, yes, they've put a couple pots or pans or a couple other things through there.
But the neighbor does want to use this Van Antwerp to get to her property.
She just wants it as an emergency type of thing. Like apparently she's a little elderly. Apparently she'd drive down Lake Shore and she'll pass her own driveway sometimes. And she, in the past, used this property's existing driveway. And the way it was, there's just a little bit of room to drive through to her house
Mhm.
using the neighbor's, this existing driveway. That's how it kind of, she always used it.
Hey, Tim, number 7 on the environmental impact, you checked no. And we also have, if yes, identify, you've got per New York State DEC website. Was that just a mischeck box?
The proposed action located in order adjacent list of critical areas, no. And then what's the other one?
Was that that's definitely a no.
It's definitely a no per
Okay.
the DEC website.
That's what I thought. Okay.
So if you use the New York State DEC
Yep.
website, they fill out some of these for us.
I have a question for Steve. Steve, is there any logic behind the town not wishing to abandon that road? Were you at that meeting?
Well, there was some discussion.
Okay.
So there's utilities there already. There's sewer, there's
Yeah,
water, there's
yeah.
gas.
Mhm.
And so it's, by use, it's a road,
Okay.
even though it's not paved and used as
Okay.
a town.
So the existence of the utilities
Yep.
is, okay.
Yep.
And this ability for Ms. Sampson to be able to access her driveway through the applicant's property, this isn't anything that's being written in as a right.
No,
into-
so it would be if this was private property, if he owned that where the driveway and the public road is, but because it's a public road, in theory, you don't need any type of right of way written in the deed type of thing.
That's kind of what I thought. So we're not even going to attempt to address that tonight. That's something personal between the applicant and his
Yeah,
neighbors.
it's just gonna be kind of a nod agreement type of thing.
Is there, as far as the configuration of the house, that one portion that runs, I guess at a 90-degree angle to Lake Shore Road, is that, what is that? Is that garage? Is that?
It's garage,
Okay.
yes.
Any other questions at this point? Nope. Okay. So at this time, I will open the public hearing. Would anyone speak for this?
I think that
Who's not the applicant?
he wanted to go over the standards
We can do that at the end.
at the end, okay.
We do have a letter from Miss Valencia Sampson, or Valentina Sampson, sorry, who is located, I guess, in the lot next to Mr. Bova, and she submitted that she is in favor of or has no objections to the proposed project. Would anyone speak against this? At this time, I will close the public hearing. Mr. Coyer, if you want to go through the 5 factors
Sure.
before we ask any more questions.
Is this requested variance substantial? Yes, we're asking for 9 feet versus 30 feet, so the percentage of ratio is substantial. Will an undesirable change be produced in the character of the neighborhood, or will the granting of the area variance create a detriment to the nearby properties? No, we don't believe so. Again, we have the neighbors for it. The way the property is used and exists today, it works. The size of the house would work. If that driveway, if Van Antwerp Drive wasn't there, this would be a non-factor. Can the benefit sought by the applicant be achieved by some method feasible for the applicant to pursue other than an area variance? With the size of the house and that, again, with the size of the house and the Van Antwerp Drive, you couldn't without putting a much smaller house on there. Was the alleged difficulty self-created? Yes. Will the variance have an adverse effect on nearby physical or environmental conditions? No. Again, the drainage, we're going to do a full topo. We're not going to have any issues with drainage. We're going to make sure that there's no adverse effect on any of the neighboring properties when the house is built and designed. Again, it's just a single family residential house, just like was there previously.
Thank you. Does the board have any further questions?
I'm just curious, how many car garage is that gonna be?
3-car garage.
Questions here?
Okay. With that, if someone would like to review the 5 factors and make a motion.
Do it unless anybody else wants to.
Right ahead.
Okay, before I make the motion, I would like to review the 5 factors. Number 1, whether an undesirable change will be produced in the character of the neighborhood or a detriment to nearby properties will be created. I said no. There are several lake houses along this road that have similar setbacks, and visually it will fit in with the neighborhood.
And Anne Marie, if you could go down the line.
Agreed.
Agree.
I agree.
Number 2, whether the benefits sought by the applicant can be achieved by some method feasible for the applicant to pursue other than an area variance. I said no, because of the shape of the lot, any location of this building footprint would require a variance. And, no, that's it.
Agree.
Agreed. Agreed.
Agree.
Agree.
Number 3, whether the variance is substantial. Yes, he wants to be 21 feet closer or 70%. That's substantial, but not necessarily a reason to deny the variance.
Agreed. Agreed.
Agree.
Agree.
Number 4, whether the proposed variance will have an adverse effect or impact on the physical or environmental conditions in the neighborhood or district. Many of the seasonal cottages on Lakeshore Road here are similarly, or are we on Lakeshore Road? Our-
Yeah, the
our-
physical address is Lakeshore.
Okay, are similarly situated with regard to the setback. The footprint of the house is not in the floodplain, and the applicant will work with the town to ensure that the proposed development will not negatively affect drainage patterns.
Agreed. Agreed.
Agree.
Agree.
And the last, whether the alleged difficulty was self-created. Yes, the applicant is choosing to construct a house that doesn't adhere to the requirements of the zoning code.
Agreed.
Agree.
Agree. I do have one question before you make your motion. Because we're dealing with two front yards here, do we have to specify which front yard goes with which variance?
Looking for my opinion. You see, I wrote up the description noting both, but the actual variance is written up for that night. So if you want to make that a condition, then I would address it. Because technically, if you approve it at 9 feet, the other part of the building could also.
I was gonna give both of them.
I think that's probably a good way to
Can I read
Say
this
it.
and you'll?
Yeah, go right
you're okay
ahead.
with it?
Go right ahead.
Okay, I make a motion to approve an area variance where the applicant is seeking to reduce the front yard setback from 30 feet to 9 feet east of Van Antwerp Drive and from 30 feet to 27 feet north of Antwerp Drive to allow the construction of a single-family house on a 0.45 acre parcel in a residential R10 zoning district.
I'll second that.
Yes to the motion.
Yes to the motion.
Yes to the motion.
Yes to the motion.
Yes to the motion. Motion carried. Congratulations.
Thank you very much. I really appreciate it.
So anyone else have any business before the board? Okay. So with that, our next meeting is scheduled for August 2nd, 2021. There being no other business, do I have a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Bye.
Aye.